Hello there everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Space Cowboy here with another video for you guys here today. As of this recording, we're officially 1 week into free agency, and so what I wanted to do was go over all of the moves the Cowboys have made in this free agency period, with signing guys, re-signing guys, letting guys that were on the free agency list for them walk this offseason. Go through all of that, and then talk about what I think the team still needs to do and give an overall grade of the offseason to this point in time. If you want to participate down below, put down in the comment section how you feel the offseason's going. Do you think it's going great? Do you think they need to still do work? By all means, all opinions are welcome. So let's go ahead and dive into where the Cowboys are at right now and what they've done. So to start things off, in terms of who they've lost this offseason, either to unrestricted free agency or releasing them, they have lost Tony Pollard, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz, Dante Fowler, Neville Gallimore, Tyron Smith, Noah Igbinoghene, Michael Gallup, and Leighton Vander Esch. A lot of guys have walked. In terms of you retaining guys, you have Trent Sieg, your long snapper, Jourdan Lewis, CJ Goodwin, your special teams ace, and Rico Dowdle. As of this point in time, we have only one outside free agent addition to the team, and that is Eric Kendricks. And I should also add that all of the guys that have been brought in or brought back are on 1-year deals. No multi-year deals yet for any players as of this point in time for the Cowboys offseason. Now, I've talked about this particular free agency class that the Cowboys had for 2024 in other videos. We talked about it before the start of the 2023 season, and we talked about it about a month or two before free agency opened this year. And I also mentioned on Twitter as well, or X, whatever we're calling it these days, that we didn't need to bring back everybody. In fact, even if they were going all in, as people were trying to insinuate they were saying, even with bringing guys back, they didn't need to go get everybody. I felt like the only two guys they really needed to bring back regardless of cost were Trent Sieg, the long snapper, and Tyron Smith. Now, Tyron Smith is not here anymore, but I understand the idea of letting him walk. And I don't have a problem with anybody else that has walked on the list that we've talked about. Where I have a problem is that the plan that the Cowboys have should be a little bit more proactive, in that they should be going out and signing some Tier 2 and Tier 3 guys to ensure that we're covered at these positions of need that we have, so that if the draft goes a certain way, we're not screwed over. The fact that your only outside free agent addition is Eric Kendricks, and the only reason that he is coming here instead of going to San Francisco is due to Mike Zimmer convincing him to do so, isn't the best look on this front office. But to give them a little bit of their props, you brought back Trent Sieg, your long snapper. That's good. You brought back Jourdan Lewis on a nice contract, starting corner. Good signing there. CJ Goodwin, special teams ace. Good signing. Rico Dowdle, solid veteran signing at the running back position, so you're not bare bones there. All of those are good signings, but with who you've let walk out the door, you still have more work that you need to do before the draft. You let Tony Pollard walk. I think that you need to add one more guy out in free agency that is a solid veteran presence, and you should draft someone in this year's draft at the running back position. I think you'd be set there. You don't have to do much more. At the wide receiver position, you let go of Michael Gallup, which was the correct move to make, as we've talked about it. And as of right now, the room is okay. I think for the long-term implications, you're going to need to add someone in the draft, because you have Brandon Cooks on a final year. You have Jalen Tolbert for 2 more years. I think that you need to add someone in there just in case for long-term purposes. Then on the offensive line, you saw 2 starters leave in free agency in Tyron Smith, your left tackle, and Tyler Biadasz. While the Cowboys are very high on Tyler Smith as well as Brock Hoffman playing at those 2 positions, I still think you're going to need depth at those levels. I don't think going into the draft with what you have now is sufficient. You know, do you bring back Chuma Edoga on a cheap deal? Maybe. Do you possibly look at going out into free agency and signing 1 or 2 guys for depth purposes? I think that's the smart move to make. Again, I'm not saying they need to go out and get a starter. I think that you can go into the draft to get a starter. And even though that sounds like a Stephen Jones talking point, and I'm not a fan of Stephen Jones, I think that as we're currently constructed, the offensive line is solid. You have Smith, Bass, Hoffman, Martin, and Steele. Can you upgrade? For sure. I definitely see opportunity for growth there. Where I think they need to improve and address immediately is the depth of the offensive line. With these two guys walking, the depth of the offensive line has drastically been depleted. And so they need to go out into free agency, and they need to go add a guy or two, and then go into the draft and possibly look to get another starter or some depth. I think that's how they need to address the offensive line. Again, doesn't need to be a whole lot of revamping. I just think they need to dedicate some resources there. Then you go to the defensive side of the ball, and you start off with the defensive line. You have Dorrance Armstrong walking, you have Dante Fowler walking, and you have Neville Gallimore walking. Those are guys that you can replace pretty easily, if I do say so myself, in the sense of what you can dedicate to the position group. I think for defensive tackle, if you can go bring back Jonathan Hankins, that's a win. If you don't, I think that you need to add two guys into that room. And don't add guys just for the sake of having a name there. They need to be quality guys for the defensive line. Hey guys, Space Cowboy in the future here. Just found out that Jonathan Hankins was going to Seattle as I was editing the video, so I wanted to add a quick little snippet addressing that. Still have the point of the Cowboys needing to go after a defensive tackle and a defensive end in free agency. You go to linebacker, and you let go of Leighton Vander Esch, right? And you added Eric Kendricks, which sort of cancels that out. You'll still need to go add a guy out there in free agency and maybe in the draft. This linebacker situation that the Cowboys are in seriously needs to be addressed. And they didn't really address it last year, and this whole hybrid crap didn't save them. So they need to go get actual linebackers that can step in and give them productive snaps. And then the only other guy that's walked is Noah Igbenogany, who was one of your special teams guys and backup corners. I don't really care. But at the end of the day, guys, this team, I would give the offseason a C- for now. I think that while they've made some solid moves, there's still more to be done. And I think that if this is it, and I don't think this is it, if this is all the moves they make, that's not a good sign for 2024. And that's my next point before I let this thing end, is that if the Cowboys are truly trying to push for a title in 2024, these are not the moves that they should be making. I think they need to be looking to retain more of their guys, adding more to the position groups, etc. And I know a lot of people throw out the term retool, rebuild, etc. I don't even think it looks like that, because if it was supposed to be a rebuild, a lot of the times in a rebuild, you want to start getting rid of assets to get draft picks, open up cap space so that you can make moves. They aren't doing that. I don't think it's a retool because they really aren't doing a whole lot to retool the roster. To me, it feels like a status quo offseason, and they feel as if they don't have to do a whole lot to try and contend because, hey, we've gone 12-5 3 straight years. Do I think they're going to go 12-5 again this year? I don't know. I don't think so as of right now, as the team's currently constructed. They have a lot of work to do. And for the people telling me, oh, Space, it's just March, I don't really care that it's just March. Even though it's just March, you still have work to do. That doesn't excuse the fact of, oh, like, that means we can wait till April to make moves. Or, oh, don't worry, they'll make moves. It's not about just making a move for the sake of making a move. It's the quality of the move that matters. Getting Eric Kendricks was a solid signing. Quality signing at that. But you can't just stop there. And in fact, all of these one-year deals they're lining up, if 2025, if that is their plan, that we're going to blow this thing up in 2025, to me, this makes 2024 pointless. Honestly. I would rather just blow the thing up now and then just try to rebuild this thing as time goes on. And again, I think that we shouldn't be afraid of the prospect of that, but at the end of the day, if they don't have a plan and they're just winging this and they're not utilizing the resources to re-sign their own guys, if they think that's also going all in, which they've talked about, you're not even doing that either. So that's why this offseason just is so meh. I don't think it's like horrific. I think that for me, the problem is not making the necessary moves to cover yourself before the draft and letting these other guys go sign elsewhere isn't really good. And I feel like they value the comp picks way too much. Right now, the Cowboys are set to get 4 comp picks, and Stephen Jones has talked about it. Like, he's like, hey, we don't want to go after anybody that has been released to mess up the comp pick formula. Basically, that's what he said. I think that if you're shoehorning yourself with the team-building process, you're not going to win a championship. It is what it is. Look, do you win championships in the offseason? No, but you can for sure lose them. And the Cowboys have experienced that before. I understand that they haven't sniffed an NFC title game, but the moves that they have failed to make have hurt them. Addressing linebacker in 2023, that hurt them. Addressing wide receiver in 2022, that hurt them. 2021, really, there was just a mix of where the roster was at that point in time. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It's just you couldn't really identify what issues they needed to address at that time. So, with all that being said, that pretty much covers up the offseason. I think there's still work to do. They don't need to do a whole lot to revamp this roster, but if they just sit on their hands and do nothing, that's not going to help them. So tell me, guys, down below what you think. I think it's a C- offseason. I think that if they want to continue improving their grade, go get some depth signings, and let's go into the draft and not draft with a tunnel vision-like situation. So with that being said, I'll let you guys go. Have a great rest of your day.